Tom here, Flip Anything USA. So on my blog, I show how I made my fortune in real estate. Starting at 19 years old, millionaire by 28. I wrote a book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate, bestseller on Amazon and Kindle. It costs you 10, 20 bucks, depending on which format you buy it in. It'll be the best money you ever spent in real estate. I don't care if you're a seasoned investor or if you're somebody that's brand new. Get my book, it'll be the best money you ever spent. When I started, I had nothing. And so owner financing was a big part of my life back then because it had to be. I was too young to get a loan, I had no history. So let's start here. Lancaster, California. This is where I started. This is a suburb outside of Los Angeles. You can see there's the ocean. Here's Los Angeles over here. Here's a trailer park I was raised in, or for a big part of my life. Right there, Golden Sands still looks the same. And the trailers, actually, I think these are the same trailers that were there 35, 40 years ago. Anyway, so it's from the sky. This is all new back here. When I was a kid, it was just this little trailer court right here. It was just a dust bowl. We used to ride our motorcycles out here, mini bikes, and you can see, I was on the outskirts of the town. In fact, here's my school. Take a look at my school. Here's East Side School. I don't think 100 kids went to this school. My best buddy lived out there actually in the desert too. You can see all these crops. Some of them, they're still growing, but in large, it's just an old farmer's community that, it looked as desolate back then as it does here. You can see, just not a lot going on. Now here's the first building that I ever bought. I was 19 years old. I'd started a cabinet shop, Tom's Custom Cabinets. Here you can take a look. This is a t-shirt, or when I started my company, Tom's Custom Cabinets. I used to have a sign right on the front here of this place. I'll take you to the front of the property that I bought. Actually, this was a dirt lot that came with the building. You can see on the building, I had a 2,400 square foot stick frame here. I had 3,500 square foot of metal building. This was not my parking. That went with this building. If you already read my book, I talked about Sandy. This is where I would go to get my sodas, and Sandy worked right over here in the snack bar. And I would walk from my shop over here, and that's the story of Sandy right there. But what I'm trying to get across to you is, look how big that building was. I was 19 years old. I mean, here, take a look at a picture. This is what I looked like back then. Long hair, bloodshot eyes because the allergies from the dust in the desert. I had long hair down to my shoulders. People would see the bloodshot eyes. They thought I was stoned. They thought I smoked pot, and I didn't. Anyways, so if I can buy a piece of property, anybody can, right? So let's take a look. I talk about buying up properties around the area in which you live and work. And I'm not going to get into the details on all these, but I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview here. So take a look. These are all properties that I owned, all around this property. And I owned a lot more, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to give you the details on how I bought the property that I bought. After I bought this building with $10,000 down, I was offered $20,000 more than I paid for it. And that got me excited about real estate. Now, I wasn't going to sell my building, but I continued to look for more. And this is one that I did buy with a buddy. One of the first ones I got was this place on Kettering. Let me get my glasses on. This is what it looks like today. It's boarded up. There was a business in there at the time when I bought it, or they had just moved out. But anyways, I sold this to my buddy Dan. He wanted it. We went in partners on it. We figured there was $15,000 profit. We think we paid $40. It was worth $56. I think he gave me $6,000 or $7,000, and I let him have it. And that's what I'm trying to tell you in my book is, don't worry money, worry deals. You get the deals, you'll find somebody with money. So now let's go back up in the sky here. And in the same neighborhood, this is another property. This is a property that I could not afford to buy. This one, these folks had a hardware store here, or plumbing outfit, plumbing supply. They were going out of business. I went to my old boss, John Brooks, and I said, hey, John, I think I got a deal. This is where I learned about assignments, and I'll give you the details on this another day. But I flipped this building for $20,000. And again, this is all over 35 years ago, when I was just a long-haired kid. Now over here, just down the street, a building that I ended up selling to an electrician friend of mine. It had a yard in the back, it had an alleyway. I actually built these little mansard things that you see here. But I bought this for $110,000 and I sold it for $205,000, I think. You know, give or take $5,000. I try never to exaggerate. I try to, if anything, underplay the stuff that I've done. But so here I started with this building. I bought this one, flipped it, made money. I flipped this one right here. Yeah, this one here I flipped right here. And that was pretty big. I think that was 8,000 square feet. And then look, at the same neighborhood, this little house I flipped. And there's a couple more in this neighborhood. Take a look at this. Kildare, let me take a look at that on Kildare Avenue, yeah. Now this one was interesting. I assumed an FHA loan and I poured this concrete right here. Yeah, I know this is the one because I poured this concrete. Basically I turned it into like a mother-in-law's quarters, and to me it was effectively a duplex. I'm sure it wasn't legal, but it was. That's what I did. I made some money with that. I got more rent out of it. Here's from the top view, there's Kildare. But again, FHA loan, I assume that one. But that's what got me rolling was these other deals I made. I made this, I made $7,000. I made $20,000. I made $100,000 right here on that property. So I ended up, let me take you to my house. This is when I was 25. I'll show you the house where I lived when I was 25 years old. Again, this was another beauty. Kilham. Now this was a neat property. I really love this property. You can see I had cypress trees growing all the way around the back, okay? In fact, I don't know if I can go to the street here. I added this, I widened the driveway. I added this brick that you see here. I actually put in that front door. That's still good. And I lived up here and I rented out this half of the house to a friend of mine. To me, this was a wonderful place to live. 25 years old, and I felt like I was on top of the world. Really was. Had a little sport court over here, had grapes growing back here. I still got the diving board, I see. I had a deck here and a jacuzzi down here. Let me give you real quick, talk to you a little bit about the details on how I bought that first property. Because all these properties have a story, and there's no exception with this one. So I'll take you over to the board. That very first deal, obviously at 19 years old, I didn't have any credit, right? I had actually already started a cabinet business like I saw you from the t-shirt earlier. You can see Tom's Custom Cabinets. Started that company when I was 19. I rented one building and pretty soon times got tough, like real quick they got tough. And I was living in the building and the owner said, "Hey Tom, you gotta move out." He goes, "This place catches fire." He goes, "You're gonna get killed and I'm gonna get sued." So he wanted me out. So I started looking for another place to rent. And that's when I ran into Mr. Dennis. Mr. Dennis was the realtor that showed me that property. Now, I had actually worked in that property before in a cabinet shop, and my boss had lost it. He lost it to foreclosure. I said, "Well, how am I gonna buy it? I got long hair down to here, I ain't got no money." And he says, "Well, Tom, we can do owner financing." I go, "Owner financing? Huh, that sounds interesting." And I go, "Well, look at me, I got long hair." He goes, "The owners are never gonna see it. Don't worry about it." He goes, "We're gonna propose to them that you buy this property." And I go, "Well, look, I don't have any money. I don't have any money to put down." I go, and he said, "Well, they'll probably take $10,000 down." I go, "Well, I ain't got it. I ain't got it." And so we figured out, I go, "Well, how much time could I have before I have to close the deal?" And he said, "Well, we can try for 6 months." So we wrote the deal up. I think it was 110,000, might have been 105,000, 110,000 with $10,000 down. Okay, that was the down payment, 10,000. But I had, this is the key, all right? Do this in red. I had 6 months. I had 6 months escrow, okay? So I probably opened with $500, okay? That means I put in $500, but I got 6 months before I had to close the deal. And I remember I made the argument with the people. I said, "Look, I'll buy it for X, $10,000 down. I need 6 months to fix it up. and I'll remove the graffiti, and there was vandals, and I made them feel that it would be an asset for me to be in the building. They had no buyers. It was a depressed time at that time too. So they accepted my offer with $10,000 down, and the $110,000, 6-month escrow. The 6 months between what I was renting a building for and what I was renting an apartment for, or actually a trailer. I was living in a trailer still. I figured I could save about $1,200-1,500 a month. Okay, so after 6 months of being in there rent free, I had my $10,000 down. I even rented a little piece of the building out to somebody else, and I think that brought me a couple $100 more a month in too. But the bottom line is, it was getting that 6 months time, having the rights to the property where I could actually move in. I sat there rent free. And saved that what I would be paying out somewhere else, and ultimately I bought this property. And I went to the front of that property. One day I was going to pull the for sale sign down. It was still up, and a guy pulls up and he says, "Hey, how much they want for the property?" And I go, "Well, it's not for sale. I just bought it." And he goes, "What'd you pay for it?" And I said, "110." And he goes, "Well, I'll give you $20,000 more than you paid for it." And of course, my eyes got giant. I thought, "Man, that's awesome." But you know what? I didn't want to sell it. I was starting a business. But you know what? I got really excited because I realized just by buying that property, after struggling 6 months to save 10 grand to put down, on day one, I made 20,000, or I felt like I made 20,000. I really hadn't realized the profit yet, but you can understand why I was so excited. So folks, if you got any interest in real estate, get my book. I'm going to do a series of these. I'm going to go through all kinds of properties I purchased and all the details in each one. That's how I bought my first building. That was a 5,900 square foot building. I made over 100 grand on that when I did sell it ultimately. I think I sold it nearly 10 years later, but I was a millionaire. When I sold it 10 years later, I was already a millionaire. And it was from real estate. It wasn't from that cabinet shop. Anyways, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate is my book. You can go to my site, FlipAnythingUSA.com. And that's FlipAnythingUSA.com. I have a mentorship program. Already had my first class, and everybody seems to be very happy. Some people are making money already. I'm very proud of the students that I got in there. But go down there, take a look at it. It doesn't cost much, and you're going to get, almost 40 years worth of experience, and really millions of dollars in experience, because that's what I've made. I've made tens of millions of dollars, since I started. And I realize how fortunate and lucky I am that I got to learn these things and got introduced into this world of owner financing, and then I've taken it a whole lot further than that. There's a lot more to it. There's ways to make money, so many different ways to make money. I've made over $1 million subletting, renting a property and subletting out. But I'm going to go through a series of these and show you guys how I did it. Get the book. You can't take my mentorship program unless you've already read the book. You got to read the book first. But it's a quick read. It's easy. Check out the people that have read it, people that will talk about it. Anyways, be sure to share, subscribe, like my videos, folks, and thanks for watching.